Ekisa Ministries is an organization that works to improve the quality of life of children with special needs in Uganda. And we work in 3 areas: the residential care program, community care program, and special education. In Uganda today, the biggest challenge we have is that disability comes with stigma. Most people attribute disability to like someone being cursed, or their parents might have sinned and their children are being punished. Most of the parents that come through our gate are first-time parents. They get a child with special needs, they've never heard about special needs. And when they come, they're like scared, they don't know what to do. So the first thing that we do as social workers is that we give them counseling just to take away that worry and give them confidence that we're with them, we're there to support them in every step of the way. I educate people about special needs care, how to love these kids, how to care for them, how to involve them in everyday life. In the long run, they change their perceptions, and it's these families that have come out and acted as agents of change where we can't reach, because it's a big community. I can't reach all the community members by myself, but if we have people that have changed their perceptions about special needs, these have helped a lot. One example is this mother that came through the gate with her child, and all she wanted was to have this child into the residential care program, because at that time she didn't know anything about special needs. She had never seen a child with all these needs, and because of the cultural perceptions, of course she thought she was cursed. She thought she had done something in the past that caused all this. But through us counseling her and educating her that some kids are born different, not like other kids, this changed her perception. We worked with her, we provided medical support, we provided physiotherapy, and right now I can say that she's the one who encourages other parents that come through our program. We want our families not to rely on Ekisa, but then to have some independence, to own these kids, to own whatever they're doing with these kids. A case in point is a child that was under the Ekisa residential program. And when I came into Ekisa, this is one of the cases that was assigned to me. And the first thing that I did was to read through the file, and I realized that there was a lot of stories that didn't connect. I straight away began on investigating, asking out there if anyone knew anything about Amy. And most leads that I got, everyone would tell me that this lady that claimed to be Amy's neighbor happened to be Amy's mother. And it so happened that this lady was the one that referred Amy to Ekisa. So I straight away confronted her and asked her, and she didn't take it so easily, because in most cases it's not so easy for someone to accept that I lied or said something that is not true. So on confronting her, she denied it at first, but then later she reached out to me and told me the real story. She told me the reason as why she accepted Amy to be brought at Ekisa was because someone had told her that if Amy is taken into an international and outside country, she would be given the best treatment and Amy would function well. This was a lie, because Amy has a lot of brain damage, and it would be like a very big miracle for her to gain her functions back. So she clearly expressed that she loved her child and wanted her child back. But because she had been told all those lies, she had to try it out. We straight away worked on the resettlement, and Amy is back home again with her mother. So in this story, or in this case, I learned that if the social worker that had once worked on Amy had realized all these untruthfulness in the stories in the file, or perhaps investigated, she would have found Amy's mother, and Amy wouldn't have stayed in the institution for all that time she stayed. Recently, there was a case that was referred to the residential care program. This child was at the psych ward, and when we went to assess the child couldn't tell us their name. They couldn't speak because they had special needs. And but this child, when he was brought to the psych ward, he had a file that gave us directions from where he was referred and how he ended up at the psych ward. So we used this information to trace back, to ask around. We went to radio stations, we went to the community that we thought or suspected he would have come from. So fortunately enough, we got this child's family, and the following day we were reuniting the child with their family. It was a happy moment because automatically, if this child had been referred to Ekisa and we didn't do all that stuff and just chose to put the child into the residential care, we wouldn't have found this child's family. So that's where I say that it's very important that regardless of what story they give you about a child, to trace back or investigate more. Perhaps you might find a family or a relative or someone that knows about this child. My biggest lesson I've learned is that no child deserves to grow up in an institution, because an institution is not a family, an institution is not a home. I've always tried to emphasize more gatekeeping other than just allowing kids that come into the program to enter the residential care. And by gatekeeping, I mean we focus more into finding other relatives that can care for this child, or doing a lot of needs assessments to know where we can help. How best can we see that this child stays in their family other than coming to the institution? Because the biggest problem with institutions that when these kids come into the institutions, the communities tend to forget all about them. And in most cases, resettlements or finding families for them is really, really hard. So if you do it during the first time when they come, it's a bit easier than when you keep the child and then later plan on resettling them.